Hello, everyone. Welcome to my session on understanding automated tests in Drupal. My name is Radhima Abrul. I work as a senior Drupal developer at Srijan Technologies, based out of India. Uh, I've have an experience of 3.5 years in this technology, and still looking forward to learn more about it. Here's my d.org profile and my Twitter handle, Radhima Abrul 24. You guys can reach out to me at my Twitter handle. So let's see what all we are going to cover in today's session. So we'll see what automated tests are, what is the difference between simple test framework and the PHP unit test framework. Then we'll see the different kind of test categories that we have in Drupal. Then we'll see how to set up our local systems so that we can run these automated tests on our local machines. And then we'll see about each kind of test type in detail. So, starting with what automated tests are. Automated tests, basically, it's the process of writing code to reduce the number of things we perform when we manually test our software, or when we build any application, whenever we deploy code, whenever we build any new functionality. There's always a scripted set of tasks that we follow, or you can say a checklist, or the test scenarios that we create. So there's always those tasks, the scripted set of tasks that we know that we have to always go and check on our applications, that are these things working fine, are these scenarios working correctly or not. So what automated testing does, we write the same checklist or same scripted set of tasks in the form of code, in the form of executable code. So every time we deploy our code, or every time we build our applications, these automated tests run in the background, and they if the results, if the expected results, if the actual results do not match the expected results, then they throw the error there itself, and you get to know in the very early stages that yes, there's some problem with your code, or your code may fail in some or the other scenario. So automated tests are really helpful there. We generally we spend many hours, like a lot of time, performing this manual QA on our websites or on our applications. So automated test is a one-time process. So if you have built a functionality, you'll write an automated test around it. So each time, if you are, even if you are building some other functionality, so with time our code base keeps growing, our code base keeps getting complex. So with that, it makes sure that these automated tests make sure that your existing functionalities do not break with any new functionality that is introduced into the system or introduced into your application. So hence these automated tests are really important. People are really using it these days. It really increases and enhances the stability and performance of our applications. So we'll see how to write these tests in Drupal, and what are the in what scenarios, in what situations, which kind of test we should write. So moving ahead with just a difference between with one example, the difference between what we do in manual testing and what we do in automated testing. So what we are checking here, I'm checking that is there a login link present on the front page. So there's a login link present on the front page of my application. So what I am doing, I'll do some changes. I'll do some changes to my site or to my code, and then I'll deploy that code, and then a person will go there and check on the website that yes, he'll follow the checklist, and he'll see that yes, your login link is working, and your other functionalities are working or not. And there's always a chance of human error, you can say, and we spend a lot of time, again, as I already said, we invest a lot of time performing these manual tasks. So with automated testing, with the same example, what we are doing, you know that there's a login link on the front page. You write that the checklist you have created, you write it in the form of executable code. So there's a test case present in your code base. So now you go and do some changes, you do some development, and then you run run the test code. So you see that you don't need to manually go and check that the login link is present on the front page or not. The automated test that you have written will do that for you every time. And if there is any issue, or if it's breaking, so it will give you the error there itself. So that's how automated testing helps us in improving the stability of our applications and making sure that our scenarios don't fail. The scenarios that we tested may break while developing new code, while developing new functionalities, but these automated tests make sure that they do not break in between. So moving forward to the difference between simple test versus PHP unit test framework. So simple test framework was used in Drupal 7. So it basically these tests were introduced to test your end-to-end functionalities, test all your major functionalities that you have in your application. And there was just one kind of test that you had in simple test. So learning these tests were easy, but obviously there was one downside to it, and that was performance. Because again, if you even have to test one function, one class, so you'll have to write such heavy code each time. Hence the performance was not good, and hence PHP unit test framework was introduced in Drupal 8. Also, this PHP unit test framework, widely used across other PHP frameworks, for example, Laravel and Symfony, and hence it's a more generic approach, and it was introduced in Drupal 8 as well. So it has different test categories. There's a bifurcation available that like it matters that what kind of test you want to write, or what kind of functionality you need to test. According to that situation, you write, there are different test categories that are available. So you'll need to learn all those test categories, and you'll need to basically know the difference, that when in what situation which kind of test should you write. So that's really important, and we'll see how to identify that in the later slides. So obviously, one more thing, that the main advantage that it provided us, that the performance really got improved. So we'll be talking about PHP unit test framework. So in Drupal 8, it has these 4 categories. So there are unit test, kernel test, functional test, and functional JavaScript test. We'll see about each of these tests in detail. So before moving to the tests in detail, there's one more important step that you need to perform before actually start to write your code, your automated tests. So what you have to do, you have to set up the test framework on your local machines, so that whenever you write a test, you can run it on your local. You can verify those tests on your local, that have you written the test as per your expectation. So there should not be any mistake, or just verifying the test, that are they working fine or not. So for that, this is really important. So whenever you install Drupal, there's a file called phpunit.xml.dist file that's present inside your core directory. What we'll do, we'll copy that file, and we'll create a new file, phpunit.xml file. And inside this phpunit.xml file, we'll make few changes. So we have to input few values. The first one is simple test base URL. So you'll have to input the your site URL here. Then there's a simple test DB. So you'll have to put the DB credentials and your database name, so that PHP unit can connect with your database. And the last one is the browser test output directory. So you have to input the directory path here, the browser output directory path. Now this directory has to be created by you manually. So this won't be present by default. So it is created inside the sites folder, inside simple test directory. So sites directory, simple test directory, and then this browser output directory. Basically, we'll see in the later slides that your functional and functional JavaScript tests, these tests are browser-based tests. So whenever we run these tests, there is a set of HTML output that is generated. So those HTML output files, these are stored within this browser output directory, and hence this is important. So after you have made these changes, we can close this phpunit.xml file. We can save and close this. And then we have to create this directory and give this directory writable permissions. After you have done this, you can see that your setup is done. You can verify that by running one test. So navigate to your code directory, and then you can run this command. So for example, I have to run the test case. So I will run this command and this will execute. So you can check by running any test that is your test framework set up correctly on your local systems or not. Next, we have the directory structure for tests in Drupal. So in Drupal, we follow a generic, or you can say a standard directory structure for tests. So inside your module directory, there is a test directory. Inside that, an SRC directory, and inside these, there's a bifurcation present. There will be a separate directory for each kind of test. So for all the functional tests, there will be a functional directory. For functional JavaScript, there will be a functional JavaScript directory, and so on. So all your functional tests of this module will lie inside this functional directory. So this is the standard directory structure for tests in Drupal 8. So now moving to each kind of test type in detail. So we'll start with functional tests. So functional tests are basically, they are full stack or integration tests. They are similar to what we had in simple test framework, because as I already mentioned that the simple test framework was basically there to test your major functionalities that you have built across your sites. So functional tests are similar to what we had in simple test framework. Basically, they put all the pieces of your software together and they execute them. So for a functional test, you can think from a perspective of an end user who's trying to use some functionality of your application, or who's trying to attempt some scripted set of tasks on your site. So for example, you can say that an editor is checking that is the block layout page visible or not, is the block listing page visible to him or not. So for that, what I'll do, I'll within my test, I will write that I will first log in as an admin user, then I'll create one editor user. I will give the appropriate permissions to that editor user, and then I will log in with that editor user, and I will navigate to the block listing page. I will see the status code, that is the status code coming correct or not, and is the data present or not, are all the links correctly present on the page or not. So like this, we check that yes, is the functionality working fine or not. So these tests are easiest to write, I can say. So because there's a scripted set of tasks present, there's a checklist that you have, so you just have to convert that manual checklist in the form of code. So yeah, that's how we write functional tests. We'll see in detail, we'll see the example of functional test. So before moving on to the example of functional test, there is a few things that we need to first learn. So there are few annotations that are provided by PHP Unit Test Framework. So these annotations are helpful in various ways. So the most common one that you'll find around is the @group annotation. So @group annotation, basically, it is used to categorize certain kind of test within one group. So you can say that there's one module, you have a module, but the tests are you have a module and there are different functionalities, there are various functionalities present within that module, and you need to bifurcate the functionalities based on some criteria that you have. So you can group your tests according to that. So group A, like for example, group A, group B, group C. So under the group A, suppose you have 3 or 4 tests. So this is helpful when we run the test cases. So when we run the command, we can include this group keyword in our test case while running the test case command, and we can give the group name. So all those tests will run simultaneously, like all together they can run at once with using one command. We do not need to run each test case separately. So again, there are various other annotations that are provided by PHP Unit Test Framework. You can refer to their official documentation for knowing that what other annotations are provided and where can they be helpful while you write your automated tests. So after that, I've defined one class, but again, as I already mentioned, that there's a directory structure, like inside your test directory, there's an SRC directory, and within that, there's a functional directory. But just including your test file within the functional directory will not tell Drupal that, yes, it's a functional test. Drupal won't identify that your test is a functional test just because it's included inside a functional directory. So for that, there are few base classes present in Drupal core. So Drupal core gives us base class for each kind of test. So for functional test, there is a browser test base class. So your functional test has to be extended from this browser test base class. And by this, Drupal will know that yes, your test is a functional test. So now we'll see one example of functional test. So what I'm doing here, I'm testing the block layout tour functionality. So the tour that is present on the block layout page, block listing page. So what I'm doing here, I've defined a new class, and this is extended from the to test base class. But if you'll see that this to test base class is derived from browser test base class, which is the base class for functional tests. So that's important. So now, sorry, for what I'm doing here, I've taken one user, admin user, and now I have I've taken this defined one variable $module. So all your modules that you need are you can define it here within this array. So I need block module and tour module for this particular test. So I have defined it here. Then again, I've defined the default theme here as Stark. So whichever theme you want your test to run, you can define that theme here as per your requirement. After that, there's a setup method that is present in generally in a lot of tests that you will see. So basically, this setup methods, it helps us to add any configuration that we require prior to executing our test. So for example, there is 4 or 5 test cases, test methods present inside your class. So this setup method is invoked every time uh, before your this test method is called. So if there are 4 test methods, this setup method will be called before executing each test method. So this involves the basic configuration. So for example, here I have defined one admin user. I've created one admin user with appropriate set of permissions. Then I've logged in as that admin user, and I have placed the this block on the page. So now, just by doing this much, by defining the setup method, and if I run my test, it will give me a warning, which will say that no tests found in class, because we did not write any test method as of now. So hence, this warning will come. And there's one, you can identify one good thing here is that Drupal identified our test. So it identified that yes, it's a test class because we extended it from the base class. So now we'll write the test method, the actual method. So what I am doing here, I am navigating to this page, the block listing page, and I'm using this method assert tooltips to check that my tour functionality is working fine or not, whether all the links are present or not, and whether all the data is fine or not. If you see that this assert tooltips method, this is present in my parent class. So this is present in my parent class, and that all the required functionality has been written. So again, Drupal this Drupal core provides us with various assert methods. You will see assert equal, assert not equal, assert session. So there are various assert methods that are present to write tests so that we can check our functionalities. So you can check those on the official page, official Drupal documentation of this function of this automated tests. Also, one more important thing here is that while defining the test method, so the naming convention is important. This test keyword is really important. So if I do not include this test keyword, I just write block layout 2 tips without the test keyword. So Drupal will not identify that, yes, this is a test method. So until and unless there's a test keyword involved at the starting of the test method, Drupal will not identify it as a test method, and hence it will not execute it. And hence this test keyword is really important. So yeah, that was all about the functional test. Now moving ahead to unit tests. So unit tests, basically, they are intended to test the smallest part of your application. So basically, they to test your functions, classes, basically the PHP logic. So unit tests basically test that part of your code that can run without Drupal. So if you need any Drupal interaction, any Drupal hooks, Drupal services, or any Drupal modules, so their unit test cases can't be used, because these just test that part of your code that do not require any Drupal interaction. So again, your function methods or some classes, they can be tested via this unit test. Also, these are really fast because they just test the PHP logic. So they run in a milliseconds time. So here's one example of unit test case. So as functional tests were derived from browser test base class, this unit test case are derived. Unit test is derived from unit test case class. So this is the base class for unit test. So here, what I am doing, I am testing the set length and get length method of this unit class. So what I am doing here, I am creating a new object of type unit. So now I have defined this method test set get length, and I am now setting the length of this object as 9. Now I will see with this assert equal, I verify with this assert equal method that this 9 should be equal to what I get from the get length method. So I've set length as 9. So this get length should give me 9. Hence 9 equals to 9. This test should pass. Similarly, now I have set it as 10 in the next line, and assert not equal, I've still kept this as 9. And this is because this is assert not equal, this value should not be equal to this value. And this unit get length will give me 10 because I've set it as 10. Hence 9 not equals to 10, and hence this test case will pass. So again, one more thing you'll notice here is that there was no Drupal interaction required. There was no Drupal servers, Drupal modules, Drupal hooks, nothing was required. And hence we have written this as a unit test. So yeah, that is all about unit tests. Moving on to kernel tests. So kernel tests lie somewhere between your functional test and unit tests. So they are not like full integration test like functional test, and nor do they have the granular scope of your unit test. So they are somewhere between your your functional and unit test. Basically, they are helpful in testing that part of your application or that part of your code that requires some Drupal interaction but do not require a working UI, because these tests do not guarantee a working UI. So wherever you feel that yes, my actual functionality can work differently in a working in a proper browser, there you cannot use kernel tests because they do not guarantee a working UI. So wherever you need to whenever you're writing a unit test but you feel the need to include some Drupal hooks or some Drupal services, any Drupal plugins, Drupal module, so there you'll have to go for the kernel tests. So when is it appropriate to use kernel tests? So when should we use kernel tests? So we should use them, as I already mentioned, if your tests do not require a browser interaction. If it does not require any browser access, you can go for kernel tests. Also the testing, you're just testing the behavior of a class or a function only. So it's not that you are testing the whole end-to-end functionalities. You cannot use kernel tests there. You are just testing some classes, some functions. There you can use kernel tests. If it requires any Drupal interaction, obviously, as I already mentioned. And only then you should write kernel test if your functionality cannot be tested within a unit test. So if you think that no Drupal interaction is required, it can be tested just by writing unit test, then kernel test should not be written. Okay, so when is it not appropriate to use? So again, as I already mentioned, if all dependencies can be injected into a unit test, again, there's if internal browser or any browser interaction is not required, is required. If it's required, then you should not write kernel. Then you should, yeah, not write kernel test. And again, if your testing functionality could behave differently in a fully installed Drupal, if you feel that if I have these 4 or 5 more modules installed, so this functionality can behave differently there. Hence, there you should not use kernel tests. For that case, you should go for functional tests. So one example of kernel tests, again, kernel tests are derived from the base class kernel test base. This is the base class that Drupal core provides us for kernel tests. So here I'm testing a configurable language class. So I've defined the class configurable language test. What I'm testing here, I'm testing the set name and get name methods of this configurable language class. So I've defined this $modules variable and have taken language module because I required this module. So what I'm doing inside my test method, I have taken one random name. Then I have generated one random language code. And here I'm creating one new object of type configurable language. And I'm assigning these values, label and this language ID as language code. So I'm creating this object. And then with the assert equal method, I'm checking that with this get name method will give me this configurable language get name should be equal to $name that we set here. And again, in next line, I've set the name as test language, and this should be equal to the test language. I've set the name as test language, and I'm getting the name. So this should be equal, and hence this should pass. So that was all about kernel test. Moving on to the last one, the functional JavaScript tests. So basically, these are executed in a real browser. So firstly, we talked about the functional test that they provide us a working UI, and if you need a browser interaction, you can go for functional test. But there's just one disadvantage, you can say, or just one thing that you cannot test there is the JavaScript behavior. So if you need to test any JavaScript behavior, you cannot go for functional tests. Functional tests do not provide you with any JavaScript behavior. They do not execute JavaScript behavior. So for testing any JavaScript behavior, you have to write functional JavaScript tests. So these tests are executed in a real browser. So you have the same experience as you will have in the real browser, in a normal browser. Also, these tests are written in PHP. So there are some basic requirements that need to be set up before we actually write a functional JavaScript tests. So you should have Google Chrome or Chromium on your system. There should be a Chrome driver, and the PHP 7.1 or higher version is required. Also, you have to install the Chrome driver properly, and you have to access this 4444 port that has the Chrome driver by default, and it should start running. So this has to be done before writing the tests. Also, as we already did some configuration, we did some setup before writing the tests on our local. We included some configuration inside our phpunit.xml files. So for functional JavaScript test also, what you'll have to do, you'll have to edit your phpunit.xml file, and you have to input the value of this variable, main driver args WebDriver variable. So you will have to enter this value there. If you'll not input this value there, your functional JavaScript tests won't run. So this is important. Sorry. So yeah, now moving to the example of functional JavaScript test. So again, the base class for functional JavaScript test is WebDriver test base class. So all functional JavaScript tests are extended from this class, WebDriver test base class. So here we are testing functionality of a media module. We are checking that the contextual links are present on my media page or not. So I have defined this class media contextual link text. I've defined the modules variable. I required this module. Then I've defined the default theme. So now what I'm doing here, I've created the test method. Inside the test method, I'm creating a media type with this function, create media type. And now I'm creating a media item here, the bundle name, this one, and some random name. So I'll save this media, then I'll create a user with the appropriate set of permission. I'll log in with that user and I'll navigate to the my media page. So what I'm doing here is I'm checking that your contextual links are present, and these contextual links are basically populated by JavaScript after your page is loaded, and hence we need to write the functional JavaScript tests here. Your functional test won't work here. So here what I'm doing here, that I'll wait for the element that to page to get loaded and see that this is present or not, and then I'll press this button uh, to enable this. It's not enabled by default, so I'll enable this. I'll press this button, and after that I will check that the contextual link container is there or not. This we have checked here by CSS, by the CSS IDs, that are these present or not. So is my edit link present, edit button and edit link working fine or not? Is there present? Are they present on the page or not? So this is how we write functional JavaScript tests. So this is all about functional JavaScript test. I hope the session was clear and you got a basic understanding of how we write automated tests in Drupal and what is the basic difference between different test categories and in what scenario, which test case you should write. So yeah, that's all. And if you have any feedbacks or you want to connect further with me, you can always connect with me on my Twitter handle, rhythmabrole24, and I've already mentioned it at the starting of the session. So yeah, thank you for joining the session.